I just focused on never giving up, truly desiring. Where you put your attention on grows in your life. What you desire can grow in your life. And I just never gave up. And I got interviewed numerous times where I had long, involved, very vulnerable interviews talking about how I'm getting older now. I'm in my 70s. I'm really worried that maybe my lifetime goal of doing this music will not come to fruition. And then the miracle happened.
He said, I wrote over 150 songs about you. And I said, what?
Today on the show, we are joined with the father of esports, the man behind Twin Galaxies, the one and only Walter Day. We were introduced with Walter Day and his big story during the ever so popular Netflix series, The King of Kong. I actually watched that a few times back in the day, but now Walter is back in a brand new documentary titled Arcade and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. And oh my God, what a heartwarming journey. Long story short, it may have been a minute since you watched The King of Kong, but there's a moment in that film where Walter's playing his guitar, saying he wants to quit the video game industry and follow his dreams as being a musician. And long story short, he does. This film follows that journey and also peels back so many fascinating layers. Walter's inception of songwriting came from a heartbreak back in 1985. And since then, he wrote hundreds of songs about this woman. And yeah, they reunite in this film. You see Walter producing an album, pulling some inspiration from Taylor Swift, and in his 70s, stepping on stage and doing his very first show. And there's just so many layers of beauty to this story. And it's one of those films that will leave you so inspired and maybe even bring a tear to your eye. And with that being said, let's get into this chat with Walter. Hey Walter, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Very excited to meet you. I was introduced to you from King of Kong many years ago. I've watched that documentary so many times, and just seeing this one, to me, I guess this is kind of like the sequel to all that, just to see where you're going in your life and everything. And one thing I wanted to ask you about too was with King of Kong, it was kind of focused on many different people, but this one is you're the prime focus, and kind of like how did that feel to have the documentary people always around you? Was that something you were comfortable with, or is it something you got used to? Or
Well, most people don't realize that at the time the King of Kong was being filmed, there were five there were five documentary crews all filming us at the same time
oh,
because for some reason, who knows how it happened, this collective idea began to dawn on filmmakers that video games were now a historically significant phenomenon, and we needed to tell the historical story of that. And all roads led to Twin Galaxies, the original scorekeeper and the original arcade in Atama, because that's where the birth of organized competitive esports started, even though it was the arcade era version of esports. And so they started contacting me. They all wanted to make films, and the movie Chasing Ghosts, the movie King of Kong, and then two other sets of filmmakers who never actually produced a film, but they sold their footage to the King of Kong, what have you. And so they started filming it 20 in a couple of weeks. It'll be exactly 20 years ago that they started filming the King of Kong.
oh wow.
20th, it didn't come out until 2007, but it's the 20th anniversary. And so that's an interesting historical marker there.
Yeah,
And
that's
but the thing is when they filmed the movie, the producer said to me afterwards that there were a lot of people in this movie, but we were most intrigued by your story of all the people. We found you. I was very flattered by that, of course. That we found your story to be most interesting because I talked about how I had had my heart broken years before by a lady who just surprised me and broke up with me, and I was heartbroken. And in that heartbreak, I started hearing music play. I started hearing like almost completely finished songs with lyrics and hooks and melodies and harmonics and stuff. And I was entranced by that music. And I had never been a singer, never had any pretensions of being a singer, never believed that I would become a singer, but I vowed that, those 40 years ago, that someday I would get up on the stage and I'd perform that music and let the rest of the world hear this beautiful music that I'm hearing. So I vowed that, and I talked about that in The King of Kong, and they recorded the music, they put it in The King of Kong, and it's part of the story of The King of Kong. But the producers never ever forgot that. Well, first of all, the music came up in 1985. And then The King of Kong was in 2005 when it was recording, so essentially 20 years later. Then 20 years after that, essentially, I was at an event with Billy Mitchell, and some people came out of the crowd, and they recognized me from The King of Kong, and they started asking how that ever turned out with my music.
Oh,
And I said,
cool.
it's still my dream, but nothing's come out of it. And the people had created a game called Color Switch, and they were wealthy, and they said, we want to produce your record. And as a gift, they put up the money to produce a 10-song CD. And when the producers of The King of Kong found out that Walter Day, after 40 years, was actually producing his music, they said, this is a story that we have to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. And myself, you said the year 1985. That's the year I was born, turning
Wow.
40 this year. I got goosebumps when you're talking. Like almost my whole life, this has been embedded in you, this passion, this unconscious calling. And I love just watching this journey through the doc, and it's so inspiring seeing you put this together. And yeah, it had to be like such like an amazing feeling to finally like hit the stage and have that. Like I couldn't even imagine the euphoria you must have had that day.
Oh, it was absolutely exciting. At the same time, I felt highly
Hmm.
vulnerable because I wasn't a singer. I never ever had any dream or expectation of singing, and I don't have a. I still have to work a lot to develop my voice. As I developed enough to just get by that night, and and so and also. Uh, uh, because of the stress of that phenomenon of being up in front of those people and singing and everything, I was mainly afraid that, am I going to remember the lyrics? Am
Yeah.
I going to remember the lyrics? And I talked about that, and somehow I had practiced those songs singing. I would sing each song 8 times in a row every day up till I actually did the show, and I managed to have all the lyrics perfect, so it was good.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like how you can be in a space at home and like have everything memorized in your mind, and then the minute you go on stage, it's just so different. Even many years ago, I dabbled in stand-up comedy, and I remember just kind of having all my bits done at home. But when you step out there, it's almost like your mind changes because of the environment and everything, and
Exactly.
all the eyes on you. It's just like you can like have something totally down, and then all of a sudden it's like you're almost like working in a brand new element. And also I thought it was cool during the performance, Billy Mitchell said to you, "Oh, you seem nervous in the first song, but in the second song you got more comfy." And did you find like as you were
Oh,
like getting used to the environment, think it was getting easier?
well, if you were to listen, if you were to go watch the movie again, by the time I sang 3 songs, and then the third one is called Hold Me, and then I sang Hold Me again as an encore. And when I sang at that time, my voice was way more relaxed, and the singing came out much sweeter and smoother. And I think I've even noted that before, that
That's
that it was a progression of improvement that was very. It was just nice. It was reassuring. It was reassuring.
Yeah, that's incredible. And again, it's so inspiring. And I'm sure even you having that moment and noticing the more you do it, the more comfy you get, that probably inspired you to maybe do some more shows or even write
Oh yeah,
more
I'm
songs.
gonna
And
do more. I'm gonna do more shows because I do have a record coming out. I signed with a record producer, and very soon a record will become a single's already been put out,
Mhm.
called "Don't Give Up," and on the arcadeandlovesongs.com website, people can order that there.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, because we got little teasers in the movie where you did have like the backing tracks. It sounded like there was a choir in Hold
Yeah,
Me. Like
it
it's
was a,
awesome.
it was a whole. It was a whole. It was a music studio that had a lot of singers come in, musicians come in. So there's lots of layered tracks there. So it's highly produced. Hmm.
Yeah. And I'm just loving that you're having this experience. As it showed in like both documentaries, that you're the type of guy who gives a lot to different communities and almost puts yourself first before other people, and that's something I relate to that as well, sometimes to my own detriment in a way, but it's so nice, almost like so many years later, people are like, we need to give back to Walter right now. We need to produce him. We need to make his dream happen because in the video game world, you championed so many people and made their dreams come true as well.
Yeah, and the one thing, see, this movie is a revelation to me because through the whole process of making it, I never dreamed people are going to find this story interesting.
Oh,
And
really?
I'm very surprised and interested in how people are responding so positively, embracing it so much. It's almost like the movie itself is becoming a patron saint for all the people in the world who had a dream and they just
Hmm.
have to do it. Just never give up. Just never give up. It's never one of the mottos of the movie is it's never too late. And
Hmm.
uh and maybe this movie can be a patron saint for the millions of people who have some deep inner heartfelt thing that they want to go and actually do and make it happen and have that as their what word am I looking for? Just have that how people remember them, that I did this for the world and this is my offering to the world. And so in a sense, this is the offering to the world from me and from the producers that it's never too late and that you can fulfill your dreams and never give up.
Yeah, it's just so inspiring and heartwarming too. And I just love also, even as much as it sucks to have like that heartbreak so many years ago,
It's awful.
how it triggered these songs unconsciously flowing in your head. And
Mhm.
it was almost like you were too busy to make them come to life in a way, but they always stuck with you. And I feel like that's such like the ultimate calling. And even I find actually right now I'm reading this book and doing these exercises, and the book's beside me, but it's called The Artist's Way. But it also like this book in exercises, it talks about how a lot of people have these aspirations or whatever, but in like making art and stuff, but we have these different blockers that sometimes stops us, whether it's our lifestyle or maybe like an influence from like a parent making you feel like it's like silly to do or whatever. And the book kind of like helps you break that mold. But it seems like on your journey, you've just kind of stuck with all these and then came to the point where you're like, I gotta break this and just put these out there, like, and before it's like too late type of thing.
Wow. Well, you know what's interesting? I've mentioned before is that in Fairfield, Iowa, where I live, it's a town of 10,000 people, and over 4,000 of them practice transcendental meditation. It's something you do. You sit down in the morning for 20 minutes, you sit down later in the day for 20 minutes, and those two 20-minute sessions just power up the creative process, give deep rest to the body so stress goes out, and just unfold your full mental potential. So the whole process of bringing to life these songs was greatly enhanced and encouraged and empowered by just practicing transcendental meditation 2 times a day. It's the
Wow.
it's the biggest asset a creative person could ever have to unfolding the art of their life. So I recommend to everybody when I'm interviewed that they actually go out and learn TM. There's TM centers everywhere where certified people can teach you, and not only that, it helps the cardiovascular, the heart, all sorts of things go on when you do transcendental meditation.
Yeah, it's so good for you. And you didn't explain that in the movie, but there's a moment in the movie where you are meditating and everything, and I thought that was so awesome. Was that
And
the day of the show as well?
yeah, I think it might have been. So the
Oh,
thing is, I practice TM every day. You
oh,
do it
amazing.
regularly as part of your lifestyle, and it just changes the way your body works, the way your mind thinks, your energy level, the health of your heart, the health of your nervous system. So, so I did extensively talk about TM, and they filmed that. It's just that they had to decide which themes were they able to get into 89 minutes or whatever the film is now, and so they cut out all the TM stuff.
Yeah, that's a challenge of documentaries, but I'm sure if there's ever like the DVD release or whatever, they can put in extras and stuff. But
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
Monkey Wrench did do such a great job of telling the story and also like just keeping me emotionally invested in your story. It was almost like felt like um we were like in your shoes on this journey to the point where you were about to step on stage and I'm watching it and I was feeling nerves like I'm about to sing in front of the crowd. So it was
Well,
so
that's
cool
great.
like how they they just got so deep and connected with you and even to the point where you were so open with them as well where it felt like we were totally on this ride with you, which was amazing.
I love the fact that your empathy for the moment was there. That's very cool, and I think that's what we're beginning to see about this movie, is that it's a very empathic movie, and that's what's inspiring people to get involved with the movie because they can almost feel it as themselves getting up there and singing. So that's very interesting for me.
Oh,
And
that's
that's a
great.
scary thing. I mean,
Mhm.
I think 99% of the people would be horrified by having to get in front of people and sing. And so that was my voyage to actually bring the music to life and have everybody else hear it and sing it and everything and do it and survive it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's again like it's it seems like you were gonna do this sometime, like because it's just so like all these songs were embedded in you. But I'm so happy it was documented, like we were talking about earlier in this interview. This is gonna be like just something people can watch and I don't know, almost get an example of like or like inspiration of how to bring their dreams to life and just break through that mold and everything. And actually, what's funny too is like right when the credits were rolling, the first thing I thought about was how can we get this to Taylor Swift? How can she watch this movie? Like, do we have any contacts with Universal Music or anything that we?
Let me tell you about Taylor Swift. See, this me standing on the stage singing was filmed February 17th, 2023. Literally 1 month later to the day is when the Eras Tour started. So
Okay.
this was all happening before the Eras Tour made her the unbelievable phenomenon she became. So
Mhm.
I had just barely discovered Taylor Swift like a month or so before, a couple of months before the filming, and I was looking around thinking I got to see what other people are writing, what other people are doing. I just happened, I knew she existed, but I didn't know anything about her. I happened to discover her music, and I thought, wow, this is really good songwriting. These are incredible lyrics. And then I studied her more, and I became to realize, my God, she may be the best there is. And
Mhm.
that's what I said on the stage when I said in astonishment, gushing on the stage. It says, "Are you aware how good she is?
Yeah.
Because she's a phenomenon."
Yeah, definitely. And even like it's crazy, yeah, like this year she like you mentioned she had the Eras tour. I'm in Toronto right now. They did a couple arena shows and then they had to book more where it was like a week where she filled our baseball stadium, the Rogers Center where the Blue Jays play. And they even named the street after her. Traffic was a mess. It was like a huge like one of the biggest events we've seen in the city in like a decade and it was just simply Taylor Swift playing some songs, for a week.
Well, I think that I think that people have begun to realize that it's her and the Beatles
Hmm.
that have been the greatest of all time.
Yeah, yeah, it's so cool to see in real time and everything. And one thing I wanted to ask too, are you still in touch with Shane? Like,
Oh, well, the thing about Shane is we hardly saw each other for decades at a time, and we've rebonded as dear friends. People ask, "Are you guys together again?" And I think we're together as like a brother and sister, both
hmm
being amazed, not quite reeling, that's not the right word, but amazed and amazed and amazed by this phenomena, which has united us in this unique experience of being the because I consider her the co-star of the movie, myself.
hmm
And so we're not a couple, we're like brothers and sisters. I mean, we're both in our 70s. We're not going to run off to Las Vegas together. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. That's really nice to hear too. And yeah, like you mentioned, she's pretty much the co-star and even all the songs, like you wrote like over 130 about her. And I love the moment of you telling her that and just kind of her emotions. And even it seems like you were surprised by how she reacted to it and just how, I don't know, just loving and moved by that she was.
Oh, she's very, very. I mean, the feedback that's coming from the public about Shane is the public really likes her poise and her dignity and her honesty and her vulnerability in owning up to the fact she broke my heart. But somehow there's a bonding going on that's healing for both of us. And that's what everybody focuses on instead of getting negative, saying, oh, you broke his heart. No, they tremendous respect and a downright affection for her as a very sensitive, vulnerable, but very honest figure in the movie.
Yeah, and then I guess in the bigger picture of everything, when you look at it from like the third person, you guys made 40 years of art together from that moment, which again, it's so cool. And now it's like the people are finally getting to hear it. Like you mentioned, you got an album on the way, some
Mhm.
more shows and everything. And I guess like as a final question as well, if somebody's listening to this and seeing your story, and maybe they're an aspiring musician themselves, maybe they got these songs in their head as well, but they're maybe have just some nerves of taking that first step. Would you have any general advice for them, like how to take that first step?
Well, they got to decide which exactly is the direction they want to go in. Like that's because, but I never gave up the direction. See, I actually got interviewed numerous times when I frank over the years when I used to have nightmares about the music. Then I'd be walking by a store and I'd hear a radio in there playing and it would be playing my music. And I go, oh my God, someone else beat me to that song. I was so
Wow.
emotionally embroiled in those songs. And I was so worried that someone else would have that song or that another nightmare is that I'm suddenly up on the stage like I was on that night when I performed except that I couldn't remember my lyrics, or I didn't know how to play the guitar, or I had never practiced, so the lyrics weren't finished and stuff like that. So I had a lot of emotional stress about, I guess the best way to put it is that if you grab one leg of a chair and pull it towards you, the other three legs come with it. If a person maybe focuses on some aspect of whatever their goal is, everything else will fall into place and follow it. Maybe that's a good analogy because I think that's how I did it. I just focused on never giving up, truly desiring. Where you put your attention on grows in your life. What you desire can grow in your life. And I just never gave up. And I got interviewed numerous times where I had long, involved, very vulnerable interviews talking about how I'm getting older now. I'm in my 70s. I'm really worried that maybe my lifetime goal of doing this music will not come to fruition. And then the miracle happened that the
Oh,
color switch people, David and Chris Reicheld, that's their names, came to the forefront and said, Walter, we want to produce your record as a gift, completely generous, no strings attached gift.
oh, that's so awesome. And I can't say enough, Walter. You're such a wonderful soul. This was like such a fun talk. And also, what's funny is like, I imagine years ago, if I ever got to talk to you, like, I'm a big gamer and a geek. I thought about that focus would be on video games, but I love how, like, today we're talking about love and songwriting and everything. So it's just super cool to, like, I don't know, like, kind of tap into your soul and hear your
Thank you.
story. So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you, and I'm really excited for people to watch this movie because I feel like a lot of people are going to be inspired. And as it gets different releases, we'll continue to share it with some clips of this interview and stuff like that, and hopefully, like follow you on your next chapter as well.
I am honored. Thank you very much.
Thanks once again to Walter Day for hanging with us, letting us pick your brain a bit more around this beautiful film. And to let you know, Arcade and Love Songs currently is doing a theatrical run at select theaters, but as it gets some releases, maybe a Blu-ray, a DVD, or VODs, or whatever's going on, streaming platforms, we will let you know where you can find that in the near future. And with all of that being said, we can't run away without thanking all you legends on the Patreon page. And the first one up goes to the Queen, oh, the Mazuka of Sonic Fold. Definitely got to check out Sonic Fold. Follow their Instagram page. You'll get some more soulful interviews from Ola herself. She's a community builder, a DJ, and a wonderful presence in this world. That's Sonic Fold. Another huge thanks to the lovely Amanda McKnight of the Vamp X13 YouTube channel and the Vamp X13 Twitch channel. If you're into comic books, video games, movies, and all things nerdy, check out Vamp X13. And another huge thanks to the wonderful Jenny Potter, the legend Devin McBride, the #1 gent Alan Kent, and last but not least, Francis Coffer, aka my mom. If you want a shout out at the end of every episode and also get these episodes early, raw, uncut, right when I'm done the Zoom call, I just post them. You can go to patreon.com/thecreativeimbalance. It's only $5 a month, and beyond having my forever thanks, you can just go to bed at night and sleep soundly, knowing you're a badass motherfucker who supports raw, uncut, independent media. And nobody can take that away from you. You hear me? With that being said, we got a lot of interviews coming around the corner. Got a few more that I recorded at Comic-Con the other month that I'm going to post later this week. And a lot of high-quality guests in wonderful talks for the weeks to come. So if you're checking this out on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're finding us on the Spotify, the Apple Music, or any of your favorite apps, hit the follow, and we will catch you next time. Mwah!